Thank you again for joining us today. We are here for the Corporate Communications and Marketing Services presentation with Quest America. Is that correct?
That's corporation.
So again, thank you for being patient with us today. Just a couple of housekeeping items. The restrooms for the women, it's located on the right-hand side of the elevator, and the men's is to the left, just in case. And we have 3 emergency exits on this floor. 2 are located on the opposite sides of the elevators, and there's one to the far right side of this floor, right through this floor.
Well, I hope
Okay.
we won't cause you to use any of those exits.
Correct. Okay. Also, we do like to start each of our meetings out with our safety message, and this month's safety message is safety is a fray of mind. Get the picture. Okay. So I wanted to go over your presentation letter that was received. We do want to remind you that you are being recorded both by audio and visual devices, so just want to put that reminder out. So per your letter, you had 5 minutes for a setup, 20 minutes for your general presentation, 15 minutes to discuss the scenarios, and 10 minutes for questions. Anytime that you do not use in any of the sections, we can add that on if you would need to at the end, so you can get your full time. Also, just to be aware that you will be evaluated on your approach to plan, project implementation, availability and organization of staff, methodology for servicing, innovative service solutions, and how your proposed response to the scenario includes each of those criteria, okay? So we'll start off with introductions of Jta Staff, and then we will like for you to do introductions only, and then after that we can start with your presentation part. All right, so we'll go ahead and start with our evaluation members here. Jessica, if you could introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Jessica Scheffler, Director of Government Affairs for the Jacksonville Transportation Authority.
Thank you.
Hello, John Clavers. I'm Director of Communications and Marketing for JTA.
Alicia Batson, Senior Manager in the Communications and Marketing Department.
Harold Sams, Senior Manager of Skyway.
Hi, Carter Rohan, Chief of Construction.
Okay, these are your evaluation committee members. And I'm Cylindria with Procurement.
And Jackie Glass, Procurement.
Yes. Nick Lully with Quest Corporation of America.
Dawn Brown with Quest Corporation of America.
Sandy Lunch, Quest Corporation.
John Allen, Quest Corporation.
Ready?
I'm ready. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just pass out. This is a copy of the presentation, as well as a copy of our most recent newsletter, so that you can review a little bit closer if you'd like. Thank you. And then I'll leave the extra copies here if needed. Okay. Well, thank you so much for inviting us out here today. We're really excited to give this presentation to you for your Corporate Communications and Marketing Services RFP. A little bit about our organization. Quest Corporation of America was founded in 1995. We're fully DBE, SBE, and WBE certified here in the state of Florida and regionally as well. We have extensive experience working with JTA as your former agency of record several years ago, and currently also as a subconsultant for the Skyway Modernization Program contract under RSNH for public involvement and community outreach services. We have a proven track record in transportation, communications, and education and marketing. This is our passion. This is what we do day to day. We have nearly 70 associates located throughout Florida and throughout the Southeast as well. A little bit further introductions than what we already provided to you all. A little bit about myself. I'll be serving this contract as the project manager and also serving for video production. I'm an award-winning former television anchor, reporter, and producer working at network affiliates across the country, both in front of and behind the camera. And so that means I excel not only at written but also verbal communications. I manage multiple creative projects for Quest, including our public involvement services contract with RSNH for the Skyway Modernization Program. And I currently serve Quest as the business unit manager here in Jacksonville and Northeast Florida. Also with us here today in person, Sandy Lunch, who already introduced herself. She's going to serve as the project principal and also serve for public relations for this contract. Like me, she's also a former journalist, and she successfully managed projects for multiple clients throughout the Southeast, helping grow not only major transit agencies, but also roadway projects as well. She has extensive experience in. She serves Quest as a vice president. We like to say that she's an expert at quality control and accuracy. She makes sure that the final product has no mistakes or errors. Also with us here today in person is Sean Allen. We thank him for his service in the U.S. Navy Reserves, and he is a former Navy journalist, and he's been embedded at places like Guantanamo Bay. He's going to serve this contract as the creative writer, copywriter, and also the photographer. And he currently is a program manager with Quest, specializing in traffic engineering and operations. He has experience working for JTA events as well, including with that Skyway modernization program. Also with us here today in person is Dawn Brown. She's going to serve us for public relations and other ancillary support. She's the former marketing director with the Tampa-Hillsborough Expressway Authority. 18 years of experience. She knows how to work with major agencies in major large cities. She's an effective communicator. She establishes and fosters positive relationships on all levels. She currently serves us as our multimodal transportation program manager for the state of Florida, which I think is really important for the various programs that you have going on here at JTA. Now, our team doesn't stop with who's here in the room. We actually have not only all 70 associates who can support as needed, but we've identified some key players that are going to work on this contract. And you can see all of them up here, from Sophia Tingle, graphic design. Diane Hackney will serve financial and accounting support services. Chris Ward is creative director. Ashley Lay for governmental relations. Karen Harrell will be our data analysis and public relations. Dylan Conway, our web designer. Alita Turner for community outreach, and Chris Aronell for administrative support. And again, more than just these folks, we have 70 plus associates that can support as needed. This is just a small snapshot of our various clients that we've served, not only currently, but also over the years, whether it's transit, roadway, aviation, transportation in general is definitely our passion and what we definitely focus on for communications and marketing services. We've served you all before, as I said. We've served the Jacksonville Aviation Authority, Florida Department of Transportation, Central Florida Expressway Authority, the City of Gainesville, and that's just a small snapshot of who we serve. And if we look familiar, I already mentioned that we were part of your agency of record before, your marketing agency of record. We designed that collateral there on the left, and as I said before, currently serving you all through that Skyway modernization program, some of the collateral that we've come up with, and also some photos from the different outreach events for that. And this is going to be what we're going to commit to you today. We're going to work with you to increase your usage of all JTA services because they really connect people, jobs, and the communities. And we're going to do that by promoting your services and increasing awareness of the value and benefit of transit and the different roadway projects that you have going on. And by doing that, we're going to build and maintain positive relationships throughout the community, and we're going to advance your brand on day one. And by doing that, we're going to inform the community about all the different positive news and activities that are going on inside JTA that people might not actually be familiar with. We're going to position you as a customer-focused, cost-effective, and valuable public service agency. Not only that, but also as an innovative leader. We're going to want different agencies like yourself throughout the Southeast to look up to JTA as a role model. And we're going to encourage participation in planning efforts and public involvement opportunities, which we're already doing for the Skyway Modernization Program in U2C, and we're going to expand that to your other programs as well. And here's just a few of the different things that we can do for you as part of the marketing plan that we're going to develop very closely with you, whether it's ridership development strategies or the advertising and graphic design or the different customer-facing materials and promotional items. That's going to be something we can develop for you, particularly with our creative services department. Another thing that we do, because we're only 2 blocks away, we're right down the street at Forsyth and Market, we're able to do the grassroots and boots-on-the-ground efforts in order to actually get in touch with your customers. And we can do that. We've done it for agencies across the Southeast using customer satisfaction surveys. It's a really important tool that we use. And because, again, we're 2 blocks down the street, we can also perform ridership counts if needed to determine the usage of your services. And again, going back to what we can design you on a creative level, whether it's signage and graphics for the bus shelters and the transit equipment, and that's all the different things that we can do for you and our creative services department can help with. Because we're local, we're going to make sure that we're at every single board meeting because we want to make sure that we know not only what's going on in the marketing department, but what's going on throughout the rest of JTA as well. We think that's an important part of incorporating into a marketing plan. Some other ideas that we've done for several of our clients in the past, developing and researching a revenue-generating advertising program using your existing facilities in order to generate revenue. Social media. We can assist you in creating a social media policy if you don't have one already, and if you do already have one, we can work with you to make sure that's enhanced and modern. Media buying, media relations, crisis communications, we can certainly do that all. Whether it's a very bad accident that's happened with one of the buses, we're going to make sure that we can get ahead of that, and we're going to make sure that we can get ahead of the messaging and make sure that the public is not viewing you in a negative light. Financial and accounting support services, we've actually identified our Senior Vice President, Diane Hackney, who's been doing this for dozens of years. She's going to serve on this contract as the contract manager, and she's going to be readily available for those services. As the project manager, I'm going to manage the project schedule and make sure that you're kept updated on any changes, and I'm going to make sure that we have the right people for the jobs. Christine Arenal, she's going to support the project team with administrative duties as needed. As part of that, here's the commitments that we can give to you today. We're going to promote your vision, mission, and core values consistently. We're going to make sure you look good. Any services that we provide for you, we're going to make sure that you are reflected in a positive light. We're going to do that by enhancing communications with partners, stakeholders, and also internal customers. And we want to create advocacy within the community, whether it's in the cycling community or people that are part of the pedestrian community. We want to connect everyone. We're going to encourage cooperative relationships with the consumers and also the employees and public interest groups. And lastly, we're going to support the development of marketing and communications initiatives, not only in a memorable way, but in a way that impacts the community. And we can do that in a 4-phase approach, whether it's for our phase 1, our communications and outreach strategy. We're going to do that initial research. We're going to identify the strategies, and we're going to work with you closely on that. So phase 2 is when we really start to implement those things, and we're going to actually develop and disseminate those communications and marketing tools that we worked with you on in phase 1. Phase 3, we're going to continue to do that, but we're actually going to meet with you and reevaluate if needed to make sure that what we're doing is working with your customers. In phase 4, that's where we're going to see the awareness and the behavior change start to take shape. Additionally, our leadership team has committed this to you. We're going to identify your appropriate resources and personnel for each task. We're going to make sure that the Quest employee that's best fit for that particular task is assigned to it. We're providing a strong and experienced project manager and myself. I know JTA very well, and I'm going to be able to work with you very closely. We're available, flexible, and responsive 24/7. For many of our clients and projects across the Southeast, we maintain 24-hour hotlines. We're always there right next to the phone. We're always there right next to the email. And again, our office is 2 blocks away. We're able to respond very, very quickly if needed. We always adhere to your approved budgets, deadlines, and schedules. Any surprises for you all. We always want to make sure that we're ahead of that and everything is approved. We follow whatever your established reporting and approval protocol is. We can commit to you that if there's processes you have in place, we are going to follow them on day 1. And we can do that by scheduling regular progress meetings and performance reviews with you. We really care what you think about the services that we're performing, and we want to make sure that we're doing them right. And with that, I actually can move on to the phase of for the mock campaign that we put together for the.
So we're going to stop.
Yes.
We have 9 minutes and 38 seconds left over for this in case we would like to use it.
Sure.
So, Alicia, if you would read off the scenario, and then we'll start the clock again with 15 minutes that you have for this
Certainly.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Customer preferences are changing the transportation landscape, requiring a new mindset of innovation to reimagine transit's place in the emerging mobility ecosystem. Traditional thinking will not suffice in the years to come as the merging of autonomous vehicles and shared mobility promise exponential disruption. JTA has begun to lead in this transit technology revolution with the exploration of autonomous vehicle technology and will continue to forge ahead to find the best mobility solutions within our existing infrastructure to meet growth demands for the region, the next generation, and beyond. In December 2017, we opened the Autonomous Vehicle Test and Learn track to evaluate multiple vehicle configurations from the autonomous shuttle industry. This facility will enable the JTA to learn how to operate and plan for AV shuttles as part of its overall public transportation system. The AV shuttles will be open for the public to ride during planned events. In addition, planned events for the community allow for awareness and engagement as we evaluate the various technologies. Interest has been successfully generated with the general public when the test vehicle is staged in conjunction with various community activities and entertainment events. The level of interest has not been as high at the test track, potentially due to the proximity of the test track to other venues. What are your recommendations to better market the test and learn experience at the site location and drive increased traffic from the public at large? Presentations must include messaging and communication strategy, tactical plan for implementation, budget, and collateral.
So the great thing is part of this is that we're already so familiar with the Skyway Modernization Program, having worked on it now for more than 2 years under RSNH. So we're very familiar with the direction that you're going with the Skyway in converting it to the U2C and the autonomous vehicle system. So I wanted to show you a few different examples of what we've developed as part of a mock campaign in promoting that. And so obviously this is a bus shelter advertisement, and I think what we're really trying to do here with this concept is make it appear very interesting and futuristic. I think a lot of people might view the Skyway as being very 1980s, you know, because that's when it was built. With this, we're trying to make it a little bit more appealing to millennials, a lot of the people that are moving to the Brooklyn area and into the Five Points area. Again, a lot of this it's just different mock-ups on different things here. Obviously would be a light post, perhaps in the Brooklyn neighborhood or in Riverside. Here's an example of it on a billboard possibly going into the sports complex area from the Hart Expressway or Beach Boulevard or Arlington Expressway or from the other directions coming from the west. And then here's an example of it on a downtown street bench, perhaps waiting for the bus. Now as part of that, we can develop a social media challenge. Instagram is really the largest growing social media platform right now. That's where a lot of people are going. So as part of that, we created a hashtag campaign, hashtag Ride Into the Future. And by doing that, we could collect interesting and creative photos that people do while using the U2C test track. And as a low-cost way, again, this would be a very low-cost, Instagram being free as part of doing this campaign, and these would be things that you already have. We could offer, for the best photo, the most creative photo, the most interesting photo of someone involved in the process, offering maybe a month-long star card or the game day express pass. And of course, that would provide financial savings for folks as well as being a low-cost option for JTA. A lot of these social media options you can do a lot with from the get-go for absolutely no cost. That doesn't cost anything to use Instagram. What we've identified as far as social media is that we've seen that Facebook and Twitter followings and users are actually going down. People are more interested in an engaging process. Now, if we want it, we can of course use those traditional services as well, like Facebook or Twitter. And the important thing, if we use those, is to do a call to action. And again, that call to action would be to send someone to participate in this Ride Into the Future social media challenge. And that would be a way to collect those photos. And again, this is just a small sampling of some of the inexpensive ways that we could get people out there. And we participated in several of the different outreach events like the La Villa Jazz and Heritage Festival. And I understand what you mean. There was a very good turnout for riding it there. But this would be a way to actually get people to go to the test track. And some of the examples we had before, if we had particular dates when that was going to be open, I didn't see any particular on the website as of yesterday, but we could put those specific dates on there as well to promote that. So that's, I don't know, I'm quite under, but that's what we have. And we're happy to take any questions and elaborate further if needed.
Okay, so we have the 1132 plus the 938. Is there anything else that you would like to cover before we go into questions?
Anything else you guys think?
Oh, I think, discussing budgets, we can deal with whatever budget that is agreed upon. We have done campaigns and programs like this where we've had a $50,000 budget and did a complete campaign using a variety of methods. We've done campaigns where we've had a $200,000 budget and did a variety of methods. and made a presentation recently in Atlanta where they said, what could you do for us for $100,000? And we showed them, we can do billboards. It depends on what you're looking for. We can do billboards. We can do social media campaigns. We can do bus shelter. It just depends on what you're looking for. But we can work within the budget that's provided to us, and we would implement a plan based on working with you to determine what the goals are, what your overarching purpose is, and then implement a plan from there. That could be a staged plan where they're introduced to one element, and then we build on that and the next element, so you're building excitement as part of the plan.
And we've worked recently with the city of Gainesville on, with a $50,000 budget. We still have half of it left. And what they had asked for us to do was, and it's been since December now, they had asked for us to take 4 of their public works roadway projects. They were taking these old dilapidated roads. They hadn't been resurfaced or anything done with them in decades. And the community was really upset about that. And so they said, we want to make a way to engage the community in this and get them involved in the process and make them excited about it. So they actually asked us to come in and brand this project, and we branded it as Transforming East Gainesville, because we wanted it to focus on the fact it was this East Gainesville neighborhood that a lot of people thought had been forgotten for many years, because a lot of the development was happening in West Gainesville along I-75. And so we went in, we branded it, we created different signs, way markers for people, and we staged ribbon cuttings and we made videos for them. And that was we have a $50,000 total budget for that. And as I indicated, we haven't even used quite half of it yet. So yeah, like Sandy said, we can work with whatever budget.
For them, we also did a website with interactive maps where you can do a slider on the map and to see the changes that have taken place along the project, the changes in the neighborhood. We branded them together, but we branded each project separately. The most recent ribbon cutting and
was for Depot Avenue.
Yeah, and that was at the Historic Cotton Club.
Yep.
So we set up that at the Historic Cotton Club and had an antique vehicle there, and it was very successful. So we work within whatever budget you have. We can make it work with what's available to you. And we employ low-cost options. We employ TV, cinema advertising, whatever we determine based on the budget is the best mix for you.
And we first worked with JTA 12 years ago, I believe is when we started with the marketing contract. And since then, I know Sandy has done a lot of work, particularly with transit as well, completely rebranding agencies we've done. So again, from small to large, we're able to use any budget and any sort of budget that's needed.
Yeah, and he's talking about rebranding an agency. We were called in and to rebrand the Goldsboro Wayne Transportation Authority, which is a small agency in Goldsboro, North Carolina. We came in, had focus groups, met with the local people, and basically from meeting with them and finding out what their perceptions were, we implemented a plan, sat down with the agency and talked about how this branding was going to take place. Since that time, we've rebranded the agency, we created their website, created all their passenger-facing materials. They just keep renewing our contract. We've done all their passenger-facing materials. We do ridership counts annually for them. We do surveys annually for them. Like I said, it started with a small $38,000, $39,000 that they just wanted a brand. And we've taken it from there to build on that brand and come up with a plan for them. And every year, at the beginning of the contract year, we meet and go over our marketing and our implementation plan and say, okay, we've accomplished this, what do we need to update from this plan, and are we ready to move on to the next step? And so that's usually how we do the planning stage. But like I said, it all starts with meetings with you. If you want to have focus groups, implementation groups, we can meet with community groups and see, what is it? What is their perception of you? Do you know what the perception is of your agency, and are there changes we need to make to that perception? We got to start talking. We're ready for questions.
Well, let's have a few just real quick. So on the your web designer on web design. So do you do content development and implementation, or is it the user experience?
We do, basically, we do the content development, we implement it, we can do the design, we can maintain it, we do all steps of the website. And it's a combination of our designers, our writers, and Dylan, who's identified there, he is the one who actually builds it and makes it happen.
Okay, and SEO, SEM, do you do that as well?
Yeah, and Dylan is very, and he is just wonderful to work with because he's very technical and he understands the technical side of things. And then our creative services department on the front end does a lot of the design of the website. So we really have for each area, and we can do all of that. Yes.
Okay, and you have you have staff that does the search engine optimization and search engine marketing, and then would they come up with the list, and then they do the tagging of the website to the various, okay, so you do all that in-house.
We do it all
Absolutely.
in-house.
We have a small team that actually follows social media. Their job is to follow nothing but social media and search optimization and all of that. So we do have that capability in-house, and we do that in-house.
Okay, and on your media buying, so do you outsource to like someone like a initiative or something like that, or are you the ones that actually call and execute the media?
We have in-house people who do media buying. However, we are not a media buying agency. It just depends on the extent of the project. We would outsource if we needed to do a large, extensive media buy. But we do have internal people who have done media buying and who have that experience.
Okay, and then the POVs, so let's say for instance that maybe we're inundated with lots of solicitations for various things, and we run across something that sounds pretty good, but we may not have the time to actually take the time to evaluate. Would you offer a POV on a particular media buy that we may be considering or thinking about?
Certainly. And one of the other vice presidents with our agency, Jill Capadoro, has extensive media buying, and so we would pull her in and have her do that for us, But yeah, we do that.
Okay, and your media relations, I'm assuming, well, you have relationships with the local publications here, with the reporter crew and all of that.
I used to work at Action News. That was actually my first job in television. So I still know a lot of people around here and have those relationships. So I'm really active on Twitter too, so I'm always following the latest and interacting with them there as well.
Okay, and if we're deciding that we want to go outside of the realm of Jacksonville, given that we're involved in a lot of different things that hit on a national and sometimes even a global basis, do you have relationships with some of the larger pieces, such as Reuters, but then like a Bloomberg perhaps, or some of the others that are out there? I'm just curious about that.
Yes, sir. Yes, I have worked at major companies like the Meredith Corporation, Raycom Media Group, and then Cox owns Action News. So I've worked with all of them. I have those relationships nationwide. And doing a lot of that, for example, when I worked in Georgia as part of a Fox affiliate, Fox itself would pick that up for like Atlanta and that sort of thing. So I do have those relationships, yes.
And once again, we have 70 people backing us who, if we don't have a particular relationship, we do have people in the company who have them. We have a lot of former journalists, including him, and I'm a former journalist, having worked in the newspaper. He's been more broadcast media. But Mary Brooks, one of our other employees, she worked for AP. So we do have those connections.
I just want to stop for a moment, stop to talk for a second. I want to explain something to the committee. We have plenty of time left over from the other two sections, so I don't want you to feel that we won't get to your questions, okay? From the first session, we have about 10 minutes left, I think it was, 9 minutes and 38. Can you pull it up? And I'm just explaining so that everyone understands. We have, no, the other one is 9. We have probably a total of like 16 minutes above what we have. So rest assured that you're not okay.
Gotcha, almost done.
We're fine. We're used to this and we're comfortable with it.
Crisis communications. Explain to me what a holding statement is versus a media statement. A holding statement versus a media statement.
A holding statement versus a media statement. I can't answer that. I've done crisis communication plans for other agencies, but I've never encountered that. Anybody?
I have not, no.
No, I haven't particularly encountered that. I used to be the in-house PIO for the Overland Bridge project right down the street, and that wasn't part of our crisis communications plan.
Message mapping then for a particular crisis. Do you do the preliminary work in developing a message map, and then from an execution standpoint, I'm just curious.
So you want to speak first so I can speak? So I'll speak a little bit what we did at Overland Bridge. When we were brought in about halfway through the project back in 2015. And basically the first thing we did, and Sandy has a lot of experience working on DOT projects like this too, and other projects. That was the first thing we did, is we created that map, and we identified what the first steps we're going to do when a crisis happens. For example, when we were the public information consultant over there, someone drove off the interstate and they plummeted below. So we immediately kicked into gear what that plan was, and that was initially us getting the word from the crews out there. We operated 24-hour hotlines. We operate that with many of our clients. We got the call that there was this incident happening, and we kicked into gear. First, we got out to the project administrator on the project to make sure that they were well aware of it, of what was going on out there. Next, we communicated with FDOT and the DOT Public Information Office to make sure that they were aware, so that there wasn't any surprises on their end. And then from there, that information got filtered out.
And I can speak to, I've written a crisis communication plan for several agencies, including GWTA, which I was just talking about. They had never had one, so I did the mapping of, and actually, kind of a flow chart of how it goes, who speaks to whom first, and how it goes. I also have worked for Okaloosa County for many years and did a FEMA training, so I'm NIMS trained of whatever. I've worked in EOCs for multiple hurricanes, so I have that training of how the management system, how it works. But strangely enough, I've never heard those terms that you.
Right.
That's so well.
Okay.
Yes. Last question before I pass on to colleagues. So you said 12 years ago was when you were agency of record.
I believe it was started then, and I believe it was for about 4 or 5 years. So I was still in TV at that point, so I wasn't actually part of the team then specifically for that project. But yeah, it started back, I believe, in 2006.
I'm curious, did and the relationship change because, do you know why or anything?
I believe Jta was just looking to move in a new direction with Jones Worley, I believe is what it was at the time. I don't believe there's anything negative because we've worked as sub-consultants for JTA since then under the Skyway Modernization Program, and at least they've enjoyed our work. You guys have enjoyed our work, I hope. No, I believe our SNH wouldn't keep giving us new task work orders. So no, there's certainly nothing negative. I believe that JTA was just looking at moving in a new direction.
Okay, all right. That's my question.
Yep. What's your experience with executive communications, especially with CEO's office, C-suite?
So we have identified an administrative task person, Christine Arenal, for this. She has experience working in that. She's worked in the DOT office in that capacity as well, working for some of their administrators at DOT. So she has a lot of experience working with that, not only in a central office like that, but also in field offices as well.
Okay, but what type of communications? Is it speeches? Is it, because Mr. Ford is, now doing international speaking and things like that, and so I'm just curious to know, what types of communication vehicles or videos, what kind of things have y'all?
Yeah, so it's been for traffic safety is what she's currently working on right now, or what she's most recently worked on. So it's been transportation related. I would say more statewide than necessarily internationally.
But I personally worked for Okaloosa County as assistant county administrator. So I wrote speeches for elected officials. I wrote speeches for the county manager. Did talking points for elected officials. We have that experience. So I personally do, and amongst the team.
Yes, and I've done that in Tampa for the Board of County Commissioners. I've done that for the City Council, the Mayor's Office, the Executive Director of the Expressway Authorities, and actually for Team Florida. So, yes, we do have that experience.
And Sean has had a lot of experience working with very high ranking.
Yes. Serving in the Navy, in the Public Affairs Office, usually if a flag officer needs a speech, even if you don't write speeches, they'll, hey, come write a speech. So you learn very quickly how to write a speech.
And you've been all over the world.
Yes.
I mean,
You mentioned your CEO has been getting national exposure. We recently were presenting in Birmingham to the Third Transit, and they brought up JTA and asked us, what we knew about.
they love Mr. Ford there.
And
He is a role model there. I tell you what.
Yeah.
They brought him up and, said that they felt like you all were doing some forward-thinking things
yes.
and
Yeah.
things that they were impressed with, and they asked us what we knew about what you all were doing and what our involvement. But truly, because Nick jumped in right away because, of course, he's had a lot of experience here in Jacksonville and knew. But it was impressive to me that your organization is a role model to them in some ways. So.
That actually rolls into my question is that, JTA is, out ahead, as far as in the transportation, sector with the forward thinking and from Mr. Ford. With that, how are you guys situated to keep up with that? Because, we're fast moving and, ever changing. Are y'all going to be able to evolve as we evolve? Are you going to be able to continue to give us world-class, world-class product, to keep on the forefront of just the different directions that may come up as we go forward? Because it surprises us, it comes so fast. So for us, what's your plan to be able to evolve into that?
We have several programs in place internally where we get together and actually talk about innovation like that. In a couple of weeks, we actually have a meeting down in Tampa where we are going to be all getting together, all of our staff from across the state, a lot of them that are part of this task force. And we basically get together and we figure out how can we serve our clients better. How can we improve ourselves in an innovative way to serve our clients better? So we're always thinking about innovation. We've had an innovation task force in the past that sort of has evolved into this program that we're doing right now that we're going to be meeting for. So we're constantly, I think, thinking of new ways to engage the public and make sure that we're out in front of things, because we have obviously a lot of clients throughout the Southeast here in Florida. So there are certainly many different people that we get involved with, and I think a lot of it is there's the new millennial generation is coming out, and they're excited about things like the autonomous vehicle system, and I learned that from interacting with them at the outreach events for that. Sean and I were at the one at the library a couple weeks ago, and we were going through the surveys, and
Yeah, a lot of young.
people are really invested and interested in the future, and so we're doing a lot behind the scenes as well. To train ourselves for that.
We also do a lot of associations as well. I mean, internationally, we're International Bridge, Tunnel, and Turnpike Association. We are going to the symposiums. We are going to different conferences. We're making sure that we know what's happening in the industry so that we can be in the forefront of it and we understand what's going on. So associates actually go to different conferences. We have different education, and we always have that continuing education that we learn what the new tracks are so that we can stay ahead of it. And so as an organization, we get together and we discuss what we've learned and what we've seen, and that is how we can help your organization stay ahead of the curve and always move with the changes. I mean, marketing communications is change, by its very nature. So.
And I think the mere fact that we've been in business in the transportation industry for 23 years under one owner, that she is forward thinking and she is always trying to stay not only with the curve but ahead of the curve. Charlene, who owns our company, is and she prides herself on the fact that she has a multi-generational, those of us who are a little bit older, part of what we're doing is working with the younger people. So we may have the experience, but they have the great, fresh, new ideas, and they have so we work together to make sure that we reflect your community and we're growing with you. I think like I said, to the owner's credit, she is very forward thinking and she forces us to be forward thinking as well. Innovation is really important to her. We have the innovation task force, and they get together and discuss ideas and throw out ideas. And, then they'll bring them to us, the older, the VPs and whatever, and talk with us. Is this something we can afford to do? How would we do this? So I think innovation is very important to us as a company. And like I said, just being part of the growing, improving transportation system in Florida.
Not older, you meant career experience.
Yes,
There you go.
Well, I've reached that age where you can't disguise any longer, when they put up there, she's got 36 years of experience, I'm like, they're all going in their head, okay, she's, which is fine, I'm proud of it, proud to have worked and contributed for that many years.
Gotcha. Another question is the public relations part of it. Your connection to the local community here in Jacksonville. Just give us a little bit of, a take on what that is for you guys, because that's big for JTA, being able to reach out into the communities, looking at the ROI too, and just how we have to get that message out and things of that nature. So how do you guys fare for working with them?
Sure. So I grew up in Jacksonville. I grew up off Hodges Boulevard. So JTA did a wonderful job widening my road I grew up off of back 10, 12 years ago. So I was so interested in transportation actually from a very early age, and was so interested. And so I've been quite aware of JTA's programs for quite some time. We are your customers. We took the Skyway to lunch today, actually. We took it from Central Station to... Oh, man, you could check. I know, right? But we went to Kings Avenue, and we walked the tidbits, and I, like I said, I used to be the PIO for Overland Bridge, so I love seeing all that, cleaned up over there near the Kings Avenue station, finally. So I ride the ferry as well. I actually was just on it yesterday, going for a meeting at One Ocean, and I like to take it back and cross. I think it's a great service that JTA provides to the community. It was not even 10 years ago, right? It was on the chopping block. And, the community came together and saved it. Now JTA has stepped in here in the last couple of years and has run it. So I think first and foremost, we are your customers as recent as today. So I believe we know what you all need, and in connecting with the community, again, this is my community. This is my home. My dad was stationed at Naval Air Station Mayport. So I've been here for quite some time, have those relationships. I'm always talking about JTA. I love doing the Skyway Modernization Program events for the U2C. I really do. They can ask them. I'm really passionate about it. So, I just think this is, for many of us, this is our home. So I think just being out in the community and using your services, we get to engage with people. I talk to people on the ferry all the time. People that are tourists and visitors that think it's an awesome service. And I think it's a great way to paint JTA in a positive light. So.
And my last question, then I'll pass it over to who we call the Godfather. Going over your presentation for the U2C program down at the test track and everything, I thought it was kind of light, as far as going into, what the issues are today of why we don't have, that interest and things of that nature down at the test track for you guys to come up with a solution for it. So you guys, can give me a little bit on what's your take on why?
Sure.
We're not getting.
I think many people simply don't know where it is. I think that perhaps and this is not meant to be a negative thing, but I believe, even in developing this mock campaign, I tried to find some example dates to put in, and there weren't any on the website, so that I could find. So I think it almost goes back to a lot of the question of what we identified and what we saw in surveying people for the program was people, they simply don't know enough about it. They don't think it's reliable. Well, if someone can't get the list of dates or times or whatever it's going to be running, they're simply going to chalk it off as not being very reliable. So I think, again, those are some inexpensive things that can be done right away, are getting more of a concise schedule and identifiable schedule up there. And I think simply getting the word out about where, I think simply a lot of people just simply do not know where it is. And it has not been something that we've been necessarily directed to incorporate in our community outreach events as part of that contract. So that's another, I think, way is if it can be advertised a little bit better during those other events, like the Lavilla Jazz and Heritage Festival. I don't think it was part of any of the collateral that we were giving out. So that could be a way too. But I think simply people don't know where it is and don't know when they can do it.
All right. That's my last one. Pass off to you.
Okay, we handed this out. It kind of followed what was up on the charts. This guy Dylan, am I to read that he's something special compared to the rest of these based on the graphic? The shadow and the aura around him and yeah. I mean, it's like Madonna with baby.
He's here now.
Oh, he's in a room right now? Okay, got
So
it.
read nothing in there. All right, explain a little bit more about what contract manager Diane Hackney would do for us.
Yes, so you had asked, in the RFP, there was a request for contracts and I believe let me go to the term so I know, I'll read it exactly. It was financial and accounting support services. I believe it was phrased something like that in the RFP. Basically, she's the contract manager for this project. She worked on the last Jta contract. She also executes the different work orders that we get from RS&H for the Skyway Modernization Program. So she would serve just as from a finance standpoint, a contract standpoint, working with you all on that.
So purchasing media buys, things of that nature?
I think it would be more along the lines of, I think what we try to do is we try to separate our field personnel from a lot of that sort of thing. So basically our corporate office allows us to do what we're good at, which is providing you the communications and marketing services. And Diane basically handles the numbers. So she would work with whoever your identified person is to make sure that any contract is executed and any work orders are executed.
The financial aspect.
Yeah, the finances, right.
Just so there's no problems with the financial, the contract management, you know.
Billable
He would work
hours.
as your project manager but Diane is the one who would call you and say, you know, we have these tasks.
Yeah, I just want to insert here, and she's talking about it, that's the person who works with us.
Yes.
Correct.
All the accountings as far as.
Correct.
Task work orders and all of that.
Task work order.
The billing, the invoices, you know.
Got it. Okay.
There's no irregularities in the financial.
Okay.
Thank you, Jackie.
All right.
Thank you.
With respect to your phasing, I don't understand the phasing as it relates to how it maps to JTA's actual need for services. Can you, is this phasing your intent to handle every task this way? Or did you understand that when we give you a contract, you're immediately going to develop a communications outreach strategy, immediately going to go into education, then progress all the way down to behavior change?
I think this is just an example of any particular task you gave us. So for example, if you asked us to develop a campaign for the U2C test track, for example.
Okay, so it's a pro forma for attacking the task.
Correct, yes.
All right, got it.
And we typically, you know, would have an internal meeting to talk about it, then we'd get with you or your assigned representatives and sit down and kind of go over things, and then we each task, assuming they're, you know, big tasks, not just a little, we would have this form of how we do it so
Very
that,
good.
you know, we know there's a process in place. It's not just one person running off doing this, one person running off doing that, no real direction, no. And, you know, we consider ourselves an extension of your team. If you bring us on, we're an extension of your team. So obviously, all of this is directed by you, run through you. We work cooperatively with you. We're not off saying, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, let's
Okay.
do that, you know.
All right, perfect. That's exactly where I was going with it.
Okay.
The last question, actually, I've got two. One's going to be a scenario, but the last real question really relates to exactly what Mr. Sams brought up, but with a different twist. With regards to your scenario, I heard throughout the whole presentation, before the scenario and even after the scenario, that you're innovative in everything you do. However, I think you missed the target in your scenario on AV communication and marketing, utilizing AI, artificial intelligence, and utilizing the new technology. what I saw in your scenario, your presentation, was best practice, what the industry does, and I really would expect an innovative firm of your nature to kind of be out there and maybe there's something in AI, maybe there's something with the new technologies. Maybe you felt you didn't have enough time. Can you kind of address that a little bit?
Sure. We're certainly willing to research and to look into anything like that. That's not been something that's been requested by us previously, or that we've seen previously in the different agencies that we've worked with. But certainly, if that was something that the direction we wanted to move in, we're certainly willing to become experts on it.
Okay. All right. All right, I got a scenario for you. Let's say we select you as our marketing and communications consultant. And your first request for services could be that we received this from another consultant, and we ask you to analyze it and give us your opinion and tell us what we should think. What do you think?
You would ask us to
Tell us what we should think about this.
what you should think about that?
Yeah.
I mean, you want me to analyze that, or do you want me to tell you how I would approach it?
Whatever you want.
Okay.
You're my new consultant, and I get this, and I'm in construction. I don't have a clue about what's good practices for marketing, communication, and I have this guy on the other side that handed me this thing, and man, it looks great to me, but I need the expert to tell me what they think.
Yeah, and I would go through it and take a look at what their message is, if they're sticking to a message, if there is a message, or is this just scattered thoughts and, here's how wonderful we are, but no message. I would look at it to say, is their design clean, clear, consistent? Is their writing appropriate for the audience? Is it well written? Have they determined a target audience, or is this just, because it's easy to put together something that looks impressive. I mean, that's easy. We've got lots of designers. We've got 5, 6 designers. We've got young, we've got old, we've got ones who do the new, innovative, sharp. We've got ones who know the standard true that DOT likes. So it's easy to do that. But is there a message? Is there a purpose? What was the purpose of this? Does this answer the question, or does this?
Spot on. That's exactly what I was asking.
I mean, if there's no purpose, then it's just money wasted and somebody saying how pretty,
Exactly.
And while it's good to be pretty, it's better to have some substance.
All right, well, Mr. Chair, that's all I
A
have.
philosophy for life, right?
Jessica, do you have any questions? We are almost out of time.
You're out of time.
Okay.
Hey, yes, I just wanted to, earlier, somebody gave the example of some work that y'all did for Hillsboro, North Carolina. Is that right? Hillsboro, North Carolina?
Goldsboro.
Goldsboro.
Goldsboro, Wayne Transportation Authority.
Goldsboro, Wayne Transportation Authority?
Yes. Can I answer,
Okay.
or we're out of time?
Yeah.
It's just a very small agency who brought us in to do rebranding, and we basically have become, they're our biggest cheerleaders. They love us to death, because we took them from an agency that literally would handwrite on a piece of paper a schedule and have it taped on the wall. They have signage, we did bus wraps for them. They have passenger-facing materials. We wrote them a ride guide to tell people the rules, what you can do on a bus, what you can't do on a bus. We've done all of their schedules and maps. We've done a system map for them. We've ridden their buses, and we do passenger counts and told them, these routes, these stops, they're serving you no purpose. We've done those kinds of things. So you can call him.
Thank you.
Yeah, he will tell you that we have changed, and like I said, it's a small agency, so we were able to do a lot for them. Okay.
Cool.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.